Have you ever wondered what it would be like if Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away was its own video game? Well, boy, do I have something to tell you. Ni no Kuni is a series of role-playing games published by Bandai Namco worldwide and developed and published by Level 5 in Japan. The first games in the series follow a boy named Oliver and his journey to another world to save his mother and stop the beckoning evil. Hi, my name is Fizzle, and it's great to have you here today. And we're going to be talking all about this game called Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. This is going to be a multiple part series as I personally play through the game. I'm going to be summarizing this game for you guys as quickly and as thoroughly as possible, so if you are sensitive to spoilers, I would suggest maybe watching a different video because I'm going to explain the entire story as I learn it. Before we get into this video, I just want to remind every one of you to hit that like button and subscribe and do all those fun YouTube things because it really helps me out as a really minuscule channel here on YouTube, and I would like to motion you towards the description where you'll find links to my other socials, including my Twitch channel where I'll be streaming every single Saturday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Last Saturday, we actually played Breath of the Wild, and that was really fun. So if you want to see some gameplay live, head on over to twitch.tv/fizzlefazzletv. We start off in this field, and you can already see the beautiful Ghibli illustration happening. This boy and this weird drippy character show up, and suddenly they're being swarmed by what looks like buffalo-esque creatures. After getting trampled, we follow this drippy guy to the edge of a cliff, and it seems a little bit sus to me, but we observe what is apparently Snotty's little world. Just watching these opening credits, the illustration is beyond beautiful, and you can already see Studio Ghibli's art aspect coming into this. The beginning of this game actually kind of starts off like a movie based in Motorville, and we follow Oliver as he goes into the grocery store and gets groceries from Miss Layla, and we find out that we have a friend named Philip who's waiting for us. We leave the grocery store and promptly find Philip, and we begin to banter about some secret thing that Philip has finished, and we start to get peer pressured into coming to his garage tonight, which is a little bit weird, and we're gonna take her for a spin. Then this scary, creepy bitch is like watching me through a crystal ball, and there's a bird in a tuxedo, and nothing makes sense, and I have no clue what's going on. But it is awfully promising to have such a crazy story already. We run on home with the groceries and say hi to our mom, and we very inconspicuously ask Mom whether she's busy tomorrow and ask if she's going to bed early, which totally doesn't ruin our plan, but somehow she doesn't catch on and we get away with it. We wait until nighttime and sneakily escape the house and race towards Philip's garage. We are caught going into Philip's garage by a girl known as Starry Mary, who does nothing but watch people all day. Inside the garage, there's a suspiciously vehicle-shaped tarp in the middle. Da-da-da-da! Behold, the vehicle! I knew it, and it's so neat. Philip tells us to check that the coast is clear, so we go running around the corner, thinking the coast is clear, and then this little girl with green hair comes out of nowhere and is like, "Please, Oliver, it's bad, don't go, please don't go, Oliver." Philip runs up and asks, what's going on? And I go and point to this little girl, and she's just gone. And at this point, I'm feeling super gaslit by this game already. And Philip does not believe us. He thinks that it was probably Starry Mary, and even though we just saw her open her window, so there's no way that she could have gotten down that quickly. The scary evil-like wizard lady is watching us again, and I think she put a curse on us or something, or doomed us to hell. Something like that, because she apparently doesn't want us to be alive. Oliver's mom wakes up with a start to Oliver screaming for help, so this prompts her to look around the house, and she realizes we're not there. And then she remembers that suspicious line of questioning earlier when I was asking her whether she was going to bed, and it finally dawned on this woman that, oh, maybe, just maybe, my son was sneaking out of the house, so she runs outside looking for him, and we cut to a scene of Oliver in his little car getting ready for takeoff. He puts on a helmet, revs his engine, and floors it, and while he's schmoovin', one of his tires pops off, and he veers into a river. And apparently Oliver doesn't know how to swim, But just in time, Oliver's mom runs up and is able to swim into the river, pull him out, and save his life. They all, laugh at this as if nothing big happened, and they don't care, just, don't go take the kid to the hospital or anything. And then the mom just fucking dies. She just drops dead right there. Oh, never mind, I guess. She's still alive. Never mind. Nope. Definitely dead. We get the sad, raining scene of a son crying over his dead mother's body, and then this creepy bitch once again is watching us and is scoffing at her decision to save her son's life over hers. Next up, we cut to a scene where Layla is taking care of Oliver now that his mom is gone, and we meet Timmy Toldrum, Layla's big, fat, fluffy cat, and he's so squishy and he's so fluffy, and I just want to die. I love him so much. Oliver looks at this stuffed bird-like creature that his mom apparently gave him when he was a little kid, and he has this big sentimental flashback about why he cares so much about this, and he cries over this stuffed doll, and it magically comes to life. Wow! You can really see an element of Ghibli illustration here. The doll turns out to be named Mr. Drippy, and he goes on explaining to us how he's a fairy from a parallel world, and explains how soulmates work, and that's kind of where, a soul is linked to another soul in a parallel world. So, for example, our mother's soul was linked to this great sage, actually. We find out that the soul she's linked to is trapped and needs to be saved, which may save her mom. We agree to help Mr. Drippy and go to his world. We magically find this wizard book in our fireplace, and it comes out completely clean, and this is apparently the hub for this game. This book allows us to learn and cast spells. I sign my book with my real name, and I officially take the wizard's pledge. I guess I didn't need to tell anyone I'm leaving, because I just bolt out of there. Mr. Drippy points out that we can't do any magic without a magic wand, so we go out on a hunt looking for a stick. It's not looking good for magic stick finding, but just as we're about to give up, the green-haired magic girl appears before me again, and she apologizes to me for not being able to save her. I'm guessing she means my mother. I try to tell Mr. Drippy about the girl, but he also doesn't seem to believe me. The girl left behind the perfect magic wand, already engraved and everything. We run to the town center so we have a big space to cast the gateway spell, and within a blink of an eye, this gorgeous arch and stairs appear before me, beckoning me to Mr. Drippy's world. We arrive at the scene we started in, with the buffalo creatures trampling us, and we are approached by a rough, and I beat him with my stick. Snotty tells us we need a better wand from a town called Ding Dong Dell, and begins to explain to me about broken-hearted people. People missing a piece of their heart and how they can't tell whether they're alive or dead. And it's all done by a man named Shadar, that everyone is terrified of, and he's the one who made Drippy into a doll. On our way to Ding Dong Dell, we encounter a few monsters such as a rhinosaur, an Ouroboros, which is weirdly eating himself, and a minor bird. I also found a cool wooden sword, but apparently I can't equip it over my stick. We arrive in the deep dark woods, forest of fairy tales, and we learn how to save our data with a little shrine. We trip over a root in the ground, and then we meet the great Deku Tree. Old Father Oak. He tells us we are the one to drive out the darkness and offers us his aid. And then we learn that he's going to give us a familiar, which turns out to be a warrior from my own heart. I named him Pabu, and he is the most adorable thing I have ever seen on this entire planet. And we learn that the stronger we get, the stronger he will get. So if we level up, he levels up as well. And we also learn that our health is connected, and if he takes damage, I take damage. We are one in this. Oak asks us to soothe the forest guardian, so we head over to Whispering Waterfalls, and then we meet Jabber. Jabber is the cutest little mob. Aw, just look at his pointy little stick. We find a chest with a loaf of bread, conveniently before we find the angered forest guardian. And he is a big heckin' boy, and he is very angry. I sent Pabu in to try and do my best to beat him up, but man, when I tell you this was a tough fight, this was a tough fight. IRL, this was probably about 10 minutes of me doing little hits on him not taking any damage, and me having to heal, and doing it all over again. And then eventually Pabu gets his supercharged move, which is Slash Dance. He beats the crap out of this Guardian. That was a rough fight. The Guardian just popped back up from the dead and is now soothed somehow. Being beaten the shit out of calms you down, I guess. We head back to the Great Deku Tree, and he gives us his familiar that looks kinda like a thwomp to me, but he's basically a know-it-all rock and helps us when we're in a tough situation. Oak gives us a locket, and then with this locket, we can help cure broken-hearted people. We arrive at the gate to Ding Dong Dell again, and we take a piece of the heart from the guy with a lot of enthusiasm and give some heart to the broken-hearted guard. With that, we finally get to enter Ding Dong Dell. Everyone looks at me funny because of my clothing. So our first mission is going to be finding new clothes, so we run into the closest shop and we meet this old lady. She has some spare clothes from a traveler who left some stuff with her, but she's going to have to take a whole day to alter it to fit me. So we have to wait a day before we meet the king. So we head to Swift Solutions, and here we learn about tasks and how if we complete them, we get stamps on our little merit card, and we can just help people and get rewarded for it. We go stay the night in the local cat inn, and we'll have a good night's rest. Actually, we end up having a really intense dream where we're talking to our dead mother, and she tells us that we have to go to him, but doesn't elaborate who him is, and she asks us to promise, but we don't know what we're promising, and I would hate to be this kid. This is fucking traumatic. She told us to never give up and starts moonwalking back, and that was the end of the dream. We go back to Granny, and she gives us some fresh new drip, and we're looking spiffy. We head to the castle hoping to finally meet the king, but the king isn't there. Of course, he's lost his pet red herring, and he's looking all over town for it. Obviously, this is a ploy to get us to go look for the red fish, so we go to the pond and look for him, and he swims away. So we run all over town, and we find him in this little river, pick up the fish right out of the water, and just carry him. I don't think the fish would have actually lived through this, but plot holes. I check behind the tombstone and I find this little boy, but I can't understand him. He gives me a spell called Spirit Medium, and once I cast it, he can suddenly talk, and we find out he's actually a ghost, and we find out this kid was the Sage of Ages or something. We bring the fish back to the palace and they are ecstatic to see him. We get to go into the palace and meet his Meowjesty, and he's awfully grateful. So we asked him if we could have his magic, but he's too low on enthusiasm to care. You know what that means? We go on another hunt looking for enthusiasm. But where do we find enthusiasm? Oak's familiar pops out of nowhere and teaches us how to track where people are who have extra heart to give. We meet a little cat girl who is missing one of her precious treasures. She buried it in a pot somewhere around town, so we have to keep a lookout for that. Our locket starts glowing, and we take a look around and see a little boy with a pot on his head and a broom in his hand. We go to talk to him and find out he's protecting the city from the mice. How cute. We asked him if he would be willing to help the king, and he says yes. We take a piece of his heart and we go to give it to the king. And on the way, we meet a woman who has lost her 3 kids. So we accept this task and keep a lookout for some children. We enter the palace and we give the extra heart to his Majesty. And it works. He is pumped and full of enthusiasm. He decides he's going to look for the magic wand to give to us. But we have to wait until a little bit later so he has time to look for it. We go to the armory now that we have the king's permission, and we learn that we can equip items to our familiar. And I buy a well-worn sword. We find one of the boys crying at the side of the armory, and he seems injured, but I don't really know where or how he's injured, so we perform Healing Touch on him anyways, and send him to go back to his mother. We get back to the palace, and the king is missing. He was last seen looking for the wand, and he just disappeared. We have no clue where he went, and we're at a loss. So we decide to try to find the soul that he's connected to, and Drippy thinks he's connected to the cat of Miss Layla, Timmy Toldrum. So we need to perform a gateway to go back to my world, but I feel like this is a good place to leave it off. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. This video was really fun to make, and I'm excited to play more of this game. If you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe, and do all those fun YouTube things, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!